Welcome to Sports Management Podcast, where you will hear interesting sports management professionals share their stories, experiences, and passion for the sports management industry. I am your host, Marcus Philipsson. Welcome to episode 167 of Sports Management Podcast. Today's guest is Johanna Dahlén, a sports journalist covering mostly Swedish ice hockey and basketball, but she was also sent to cover the Olympic Games in Beijing. Johanna comes from a sporting family. She has played basketball and soccer. Her brother is currently playing ice hockey on the highest level in Sweden, and her father was playing ice hockey in the NHL for many years when Johanna and her brother grew up, resulting in them moving around quite a lot. We spoke about why she became a journalist, moving around a lot as a kid, handling critics on social media, being a woman in a male-dominated field, her biggest career dream outside of sports, and much more. Johanna Dahlén, welcome to Sports Management Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you on the show. You're a sports journalist covering a lot of ice hockey and basketball, among other things. So now hockey season have started. So what is life looking right now?
It started a little bit for me about last week when I went to Sundsvall to start commentating on a few games that were up there. So the preseason, it kind of starts a little bit. We have our hockey magazine coming out as well, or has come out a few days ago. So I've done some interviews in that one. So it feels good after a long summer. I mean, the hockey season and basketball season go at the same time. So my season last year ended about May 18th. So it's been a long summer. So when it comes to August, you kind of start getting excited for everything to start again.
Yeah, I understand that. Much like the players, they want to get going.
Yeah. First you need a break. Just get out of the arenas for a little while, and then you come back and you're kind of excited for it. But I don't have to work out like the players do. So, I mean, that helps a little bit for me.
I understand that. So you come from a sports family. Your brother is currently playing, your father's playing, and I think also your mother has been doing several sports. So was it always a natural step for you to work in the sports industry?
Not really. I never really thought about it because we moved around a lot. We lived in the States for a few years as well, and kind of being raised in both places, I didn't really know everything, like going to university here in Sweden, how all of that worked. So I hadn't really thought about as much. What I knew there for a while was that when I started thinking about it was that I want to work in sports. That's what interests me. So I went into antagning.se, where you search universities here in Sweden, and it said, and I just wrote sports. That was the thing that I wanted to do. So I would say that when I started thinking about it, it was really that was my interest.
But it wasn't necessarily journalism. It was like it could have been sports marketing or sports management, or what was it that made the decision for you to go into journalism specifically?
I studied sports management, or coaching in sports management, a program in Växjö. So it's really broad. So I kind of had everything. I mean, we had made workout schedules with how the season's supposed to be or how it works out in the best way. We did economics, pretty much all of it. And from there, it was one of the boss in the radio station in Växjö just emailed me after my first year, I think, and just asked if I was interested in starting, because they have this, like on the radio when it was Hockey Allsvenskan then, and all of the games, you would just come in and just say, oh, goal scored here. And then it would go to another arena and they would say what happened there. And he just asked me if I wanted to start with that. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I haven't thought about commentating in that kind of way, but it sounds like fun. So I tried it out, and then it just kept going.
Now you're doing, you said radio, it's TV, written pieces as well. Is it something that you prefer over the other, or something that is more fun for you?
I started with radio, and then when Expressen, their boss called me and I started working there, and I did mostly the written stuff. And then I've gone into more and more on TV, and I really enjoy that. I think it's very fun, both Hockey Kväll that in SVT, which is so much fun, and the group that I work with there is so they really help me out coming into that role since it's kind of a new way. I mean, I've always worked with the sports, but not in that position that I'm working there. And then with the basketball as well, it's really fun to work with a sport where they're not as used to media. So they're just so happy that we're actually there and doing studios and doing interviews with them. And that really helps a lot.
Yeah, I understand that. And basketball is something you have been playing as well yourself, right?
Basketball is my sport. When I went to a gymnasium here in Jönköping, I moved to them. That was a basketball one. And that was my sport. So I'm really excited to be working with that as well.
And I think you mentioned before you lived in the States, you play some soccer as well.
Yes. I started out with soccer, and then I think we only practiced about 2 times a week. And so my parents and I were talking, and they were like, oh, well, you should try some other sport. And then from everybody I heard, well, you're tall, so maybe try basketball. And then I just got stuck in it, and I played a few years with both of them, but then I ended up choosing basketball in the end.
And you were pretty good, right?
I was okay. I played a few junior national, but that was when I was young, and then getting into the Sanda Gymnasiet and going there also. So, but it was fun. It was so much fun to play basketball, and I've started to, now that I've been working with it, I'm like, maybe I should start playing a little bit too. Talked a little bit with the local team here that maybe I should start doing that a little bit and getting the kids into basketball as well, just trying.
Yeah. Okay. So it has a little spark for you with basketball again?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Basketball is a great sport. And I've been working so close with hockey. I mean, hockey is, of course, I've been raised in a hockey rink. So I've always had the interest there and the eye, a special extra eye for it. And I love that I can still be a part of that. But working with basketball, and since the media attention here in Sweden for basketball isn't that big at all, it kind of becomes not like my little baby. It's like, this is really my thing. And I work with a colleague there that's one of the biggest basketball legends in Sweden. So it's so much fun.
It's strange, right, that it's not bigger in Sweden, the sport. Like we're tall people on average, and it's a fun and fast-paced sport.
Mm-hmm.
So it could have had more attention, I feel.
Yeah, it should have. It definitely should have. And I think that's kind of why Expressen decided to buy the rights for it for a few years coming now, because they see potential in it, that the interest is coming more and more. And now that Sweden also had 2 guys going in the NBA draft, I think that helps also to see that it actually is possible. So I hope that it's going to get a little bit more interest.
Yeah, and then you have the front seat to see it happening.
Exactly. So that's fun.
Going back to ice hockey, you said that you're more or less, grown up in the rink. Your father was a professional ice hockey player. You lived both in Sweden and in the US. So how has it been to grow up when, travel a lot, I guess, changing school, changing friends, and be at the rink?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I actually spoke with my mom a few days ago, and she said, oh, today was when we were on a flight for the first time to San Jose, because that's when we were living. I was born here in Sweden when we were home over the summer. And I'm born in the middle of summer, July 22nd. So I was 6 weeks when we got on that plane for the first time and went to the States. And then it's been a lot of moving. We started in San Jose, and then it was Chicago. I lived in Washington for a few years, and Dallas. So in one way, it's been a lot. But since I haven't known anything other than that, I really like that my life has been like that. I mean, you have to be confident. You have to be very much making new friends. You can't just sit in the background. I mean, of course, you're always going to be that new kid, kind of. But it's also fun because now I have friends everywhere. Wherever I go, I pretty much have friends. We moved around a lot in Sweden as well. But I really liked it because I think I've grown so much as a person for doing that trip. And also, since I've always had my little brother, we've become very close from that as well. So I really like it. I mean, it kind of became, now that I'm grown up and I move for myself. I'm kind of just like, oh, I have to go somewhere. I have to move after I've been a few years. So the first time there, when I started studying in 2016 in Växjö, that's the first place that I've lived more than 3 years in a row. So I was there for actually 6 years in total. But before that, it's been 2 years, 3 years in different places. So that was the first time I kind of just settled down and relaxed a little bit.
I see. So a lot of moving, not living more than 3 years. That's a lot.
Yeah, but I can't even tell you how many times my parents have moved. So they have moved a lot more in the years before I was born as well, since they moved over so early. But I mean, we're all doing good now. So I think it helped us more than it just made it bad.
I'm glad to hear it. You said you learned a lot, but like, do you think there are some like personality traits? You said, for example, being social, being confident, yeah, maybe curious, like some things that you took from this, that you said you have to make new friends, go to new school, that you have learned that maybe now you can use in your work?
A lot, especially the thing that you said about being curious. I think that is my strongest trait when it comes to being a journalist. I've never been the journalist that's hunting for news or looking like for those juicy stuff. I'm more of the sit down and really do a long interview for 15, 30 minutes at the least, and really get to know the person that I'm interviewing to be able to tell their story in a good way. And I think that comes a lot because I've always had to be curious and interested and learning about new people all the time. And I think that is something that also I've heard. I mean, the people that I have interviewed, they like that because they can actually see that when they say something, well, I'm listening and I'm asking a question to follow up from what they said. Not that I have my list of, okay, these are the questions I'm going to ask. And I'm really not even listening to what you're saying because I'm so into that. So I think that that's really helped me. And also the not being scared of anything. I like starting a new job or starting something. Of course, you're nervous, but I'm not scared to try new things because I'm so used to always trying new things and going back. Like the first time I actually started in the US, you start a little bit earlier. So I think I was 4 when we started some kind of like school thing. Yeah, 4-year-olds. And the only thing I could say in English was bathroom, please. So that was like the thing that I had to, and I had a list with everything else. And I started and just got into it. And I think everything after that, I mean, you just try it out and what's the worst that can happen?
I like that. And you said the curiosity. I listened to another interview. Then you said that you describe yourself as curious and caring. And that was a little bit what you said there with a more in-depth interview to get maybe to know the person you're interviewing on a different level than just asking these like regular questions.
Exactly. I'm always try to make sure that the person that I'm interviewing feels safe in it because, of course, talking to a journalist, I mean, if you say the wrong thing, it's probably going to come out there in some kind of way. So the first thing I say is, so, if you want to read this before it goes out, that's no problem. And then they can kind of open up a little bit more because then they can kind of say something and it's like, oh, I don't know if that should be a part of it. And so, of course, I know more things that I've actually written in interviews, but I think that helps me get more interviews and trying to build that trust in a way.
To have that trust, you're very close to the players. And being a woman in a male-dominated field, I spoke to Emily Kaplan, who covers the NHL. And she says that she has had to like keep a social distance, to be extra careful, not, text a player after certain hours or not, do anything. Like, is this things that you feel like you need to think about as well? And the second part of the question, I guess, is like, how is it like to work in a male-dominated industry like sports?
Well, of course, maybe to answer that second question first. Well, of course, it's special because that there aren't that many girls working, and you kind of have to earn your respect in a different way than a man that asks the same question has to do. But I haven't really been that, like, since I haven't been the news hunting journalist or the thing like that, I've never had to contact players on weird hours or everything like that. But of course, it's always tough in some kind of way because you have to really think about how you say stuff so nobody kind of gets the wrong idea or anything like that. So of course, there's been times when hockey players have, like, they don't really, I don't really know how to explain this, but I've always, like she says, I've always made sure to keep a distance, to keep everything like that. But some players haven't really understand that. But then it's just like, I'm Mark, no, because mixing that is not good in any way. And of course, people are going to talk about that I've only got my job because of my last name, that I only have my job because everything. The people always try to find some kind of way to prove that, okay, but you're a girl, so you're not supposed to be there. I've gotten emails that have been like, you spelled one word wrong, so you shouldn't be a sports journalist because you're a girl. It's like, okay, I don't really understand how that goes together, but of course that it's a part of it, but it's also, I think that it helps my upbringing and moving around a lot and being strong in myself. I know that, of course, I'm not here because of my last name, because my dad played, because my brother plays. I'm here because I know what I'm doing. And if I didn't know what I'm doing, I wouldn't have the jobs that I have.
So have you received a lot of criticism that you don't deserve to be where you are?
A little bit, but not as much as you would think. I think I actually proved pretty quickly that I knew what I was doing, that I'm not just someone who's working with it because you have to put in some girls in some positions, that a lot of people think that is why girls are actually working in sports. So I think I kind of proved that pretty quickly, working in the radio and coming up there, and then kind of taking steps into working at a newspaper, taking the step into working into TV, doing a reporter job the first season when we had Hockey Kväll, and then coming into sitting in the studio. I think that I kind of proved it pretty quickly, and I think that has actually helped me a lot. So I haven't gotten that much bad stuff as you can think.
And also great that you have this foundation, as you said, from your upbringing to when receiving the bad words to be able to, put that aside and know that it's not actually, like, what you have done and that is not actually the case, what they are saying.
Exactly. And when I started having this, thinking of it like, okay, so if this person isn't happy with what I'm doing, then he can call my boss. And then if that boss isn't happy with it, then he can bring that person in and they can try it out and see if they'll do it better. Because I know that I am here for a reason. And that is probably the most important thing to think about.
Do you think that this type of comments, have they been more after you appeared on TV more than radio?
In the beginning, I would say that it was a little bit. Not a lot of people listen to, it's more like it's on in the car when they're driving in the car. And I'm just one of the people that come up and say, oh, there's a goal scored here. And then 2 seconds later, we're in a totally different arena where another goal has been scored. So they don't really have the time to do that kind of criticism. I think it's at the same time, it's easier in the newspaper because then my name and my email would be there after every single thing that I wrote. Even if I wrote just about a game or did an interview or anything, it would stand right. It's so much easier to contact me than it is from TV. They don't have they have to really go into, social media, go in, find my email address. And that's a little bit too long a way to email. Then they don't write it directly to me. They'll write out a tweet about it or something like that. And I don't really it doesn't get to me that much.
Yeah, because that's the second part there with the social media. Sports, it affects people. You get very emotional, you support your team, and then maybe you say something that they feel is critical to the team. And then most people, I think, are too quick maybe to write something in affect.
Mhm.
So have you felt also in social media that there has been like a bad environment sometimes?
Last season, we always do a ranking of the teams before what we think is going to happen during the season. I put one of the teams pretty far down that has a very big fan base, and that was not very popular. So that came, I mean, pretty much every single time, like when they started winning again or when it went well, they would just write, "Okay, what do you think about it now?" So it's more things that like that has happened. And also my Twitter, I have a lot of people that are super nice, so nice. And when they see something, I mean, I've seen something written about me and then I see 10 comments of people answering that have followed me for a long time and are very supportive that answer. And they're just like, okay, but you're wrong. So that helps a lot.
I understand that, of course. And it's easy sometimes to focus on the negatives, but obviously important also to know that, of course, you receive a lot of positive feedback as well.
Yes, of course. That is the thing. Like I said a little bit before, I haven't gotten that much of the hate or the bad comments that I know a lot of people get, but the supportive ones are so helpful. I have a lot of people supporting me as well, from my family to my boyfriend. Everything are so supportive to me, and all the people that, I mean, on Twitter, Instagram, every social media. And a lot of people that I meet outside in the rinks, they'll always have something positive to say about it. So it's a good environment. Also, like you said, it's easy to focus on the negatives. It's also you can't forget about the positives.
For sure. So we mentioned the hockey and the basketball. You also covered the Olympic Games in Beijing a couple of years ago. So I would like to know how that experience was like.
I talk about it a lot, like just saying that being a part of that. I mean, it's something you'll never forget. It was so weird, so much weird stuff, and of course, it's a great experience to be a part of it. But it's also, I mean, going just from getting there, just that way. I mean, I had COVID about a month before the Olympics was, and I had to take 4 tests just to be able to go there and fill out the whole thing. And then I became a close contact when I got there because some guy sitting right behind me tested positive when we got there. And that came with rules. I had to eat in my hotel room. I could only go to games one day. It was the opening ceremony, and they had decided that everyone that was a close contact wasn't allowed to go. So they called me at 5 a.m. and said, "You can't leave your hotel room today," because they misunderstood and they thought that if they let me out, then I may go there anyway. So they put a guard outside my room all day for a whole entire day.
Really?
Yeah, that was an experience. And testing 2 times a day, both in the morning and the night for a week. And then it was such an experience. And the food was not good at all. So that was also, I think I lost 5-10 kilos just being there for those weeks that we were there. And but it was, I mean, the sport, it was also very fun to be a part of something that not a lot of people were a part of, since you couldn't go there and watch it in the same kind of way. But it was also weird to be a part of it in that kind of way that it was.
You were documenting this in a podcast with a colleague, Adam, that I was following a lot. It was very, very funny, very interesting. And you said also that people stare a lot. Like you're tall, blonde. It's not something they see there every day, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, talking about it, you would think that maybe it was the guys that was staring, but no, it was the girls. It was the girls that were working there as volunteers that they had never, I don't think they'd seen that many blonde, tall girls. So they would just be giggling and running forward and just saying hi. And they gave me gifts. I mean, I had small like origami things with me home, and just so many gifts. And they were like, "Oh, can't you bring this home? Please." And just like, "Oh, are you going to be here for Paralympics? Oh no, we're going to miss you." And it was so weird because it was, well, they probably haven't, but it was like they've never seen a blonde, tall girl before. That was fun.
they do it very openly, like as you said, like they maybe point and take pictures and reach out. It's not like a Swedish person might be a little bit shy, try to do it from the distance, but they were more direct.
Yeah, I don't even want to know how many selfies I was in with someone there that I don't know where they are now, but there was a lot of pictures.
This was obviously a big event in your work career, and not only it's an Olympics, but all the things that happen. But are there other things that you look back on in your career that stands out a little bit extra, you would say?
I would say that it's the first times that I've done stuff. So the first time I did a whole game, the first time I did a whole game in radio. I was only working with Hockeyallsvenskan in the beginning. So the first time we did an SHL game, we also, it was very fun. We also had an expert with. The first time I commented a whole game there was super fun, which is also kind of fun because my now boyfriend, which I did not know then, also scored the game-winning goal in that game.
Okay.
So that's kind of fun to know after. But that was probably 5-6 years before we met. So that, and then the first time I was in the studio when I hadn't done that, and I've been to so many games. When I was working the most, being out at games, I would be away for weeks in a row. I think the season there when I went Luleå, Färjestad, when Färjestad won, and it went very well for Luleå. I think I have 19 hotel nights up in Luleå, being there and just being close to that team and watching them and the whole city there that was so close to actually be winning after so many years without it. And that was also very fun. And also now with the basketball, being out there and getting to decide a lot what we want to show and how we want to do stuff. So I think that is pretty much things that stick out the most. For me, it's me doing it the first time and continuing growing.
Has there been any bumps on the road in your career, would you say? And if so, how did you overcome them?
It's going to sound terrible to say, but not yet. Not really. I think everything has just kind of, well, since this wasn't the thing that I was thinking that I was going to be working with. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to do something in sports. So like I said, I started with radio, and then I just started posting every single thing that I did. Every interview I did, every time it was time for me to work at a game, I would write on Twitter. And that the guy that was the boss at Expressen at that time, he contacted me on Twitter for the first time because he found me there and thought it was interesting. To work over that. I actually think from SVT as well, when I started with Hockey Kväll, he contacted me on Twitter because I continued posting everything there. So that would be what I would say if someone is interested in working in this field. Just everything you do when you're working in it, just post it on Twitter, post it because someone's going to find it. It's going to find its way to the right people in the end. But I haven't had that much in that way. No bumps in the road yet, but of course they always come. Maybe it's been some smaller bumps, but nothing that's really stuck.
Yeah, of course. But it's, as you said, like also maybe mindset, like you said, you have moved around a lot and maybe but you have turned that into something positive. So maybe it's also how you see things, that maybe you see it from more of a positive.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And I think also that I'm still open to doing other stuff. I've studied sports management. I've studied something like that. I always have that to fall back on in some kind of way because I'm interested in that part of sports as well. I'm not like I have to be a journalist and I have to do this. Otherwise, I'm going to be super sad. It's kind of like, okay, this is working out really well. I love doing it. It's so much fun. But if this journey was to end, then I can just try to go another way in sports. And I think that's a really fun thought to actually have.
Yeah, that's interesting because that you don't tie up your identity in the work. That maybe some players have that sometimes, that what happens post-career, but because my whole being is being an athlete, and you have this, like you say, that if I don't do this, I can do something else. I think it's a healthy mindset to look at it.
Yeah, I think it's so easy. I mean, if you do something for your whole life, or if it's your biggest goal in life is to do something, and then you do it and it doesn't work out, or you do it, then you're kind of stuck there. You don't really know what to do. So I really think it's important to have a lot of things that you're interested in, or that you can think about doing in case something goes wrong.
So what would be something else that you could think about doing if you're not doing what you're doing now?
When I was studying our final paper, I did with a younger team in Sweden, where I compared and looked a little bit into why young hockey players stop playing hockey. And that was kind of the thing that got me into really wanting to do something in sports, was that I saw that a lot of these young players that have so much potential in them are getting put to the side because someone is a little bit taller, someone is a little bit stronger, faster when it comes to getting into school, and when they're around 15 there. So I looked into that and looked into an under 14 team and an under 15 team that had different. One worked a lot with putting the best players in one group and kind of like that, and one just mixed every one of them, and seeing a little bit of the difference and why players stop and how you can work with that. So that is something that I'm very interested in. I like that part of it, working like the younger players. How can you keep more for a longer time? In what kind of ways? Can you work with other teams to put them there? Or can we make them work with something else in sports? I mean, you always need people working in sports. That's very interesting to me to do that in some kind of way.
I agree. And it's important from many perspectives, from not only health perspective to be involved in sports as long as possible, but I'm also the mindset that you learn so much from sports, like teamwork, overcoming adversity, and being competitive, and like all these things that you can use later in life as well.
Exactly. I think it's so important. I mean, I have my best memories from playing sports when I was younger. When we played basketball, I mean, the girls there, we would play basketball every single weekend. And if we didn't have basketball, we would still hang out as a group. And it's, especially now in the society, it's so easy for young people to go the wrong way, to get into the wrong stuff that you're not supposed to get into when you're so young. But if you have your sport, if you have your team, then it makes such a big difference.
So I'm going to steal a question that you have asked. I saw in an interview that you asked the hockey player, what don't we know about you? So what don't we know about Johanna Dahlén?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I always ask that one. I never get it. I would say, well, I don't know if people know this, since I have posted a lot about it, but I mean, I spoke a little bit about what I want to do in sports if nothing works out. But my absolute biggest dream is to run a bed and breakfast.
Okay.
Yeah, just going all the way away from sports that you can. So that is what I also have on the back of my head. If this doesn't work out, or in a few years when I've done this, just have a small little cozy bed and breakfast. I love to bake, so I can do a lot of that.
Where will this B&B be located? Is it in Sweden? Is it on a Greek island?
Maybe some everywhere. We'll just start somewhere, and then I live down in Skåne now, and there are a lot of nice places around here, but also to have one just up in the mountains. I'm from Östersund from the beginning. I love it there. But we have a summer place on an Öland, so it could be pretty much anywhere, but I'll get back to you when I know.
Looking forward to that. Maybe you start a B&B empire later. You start small and then build from there.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Do you have any advice for women who want to work in the sports industry?
Not to let anyone put you down. I mean, it's so easy to say. It's so easy to say. But if you want something, I would say go for it. That has always been the most important thing. I mean, not being scared. You're always going to get comments in some kind of way. It's always going to be something. It's always, people really like to pick and try to find something that you're doing wrong. So I would say just really, if you love to do something, if you want to do something, don't be scared to do it. What's the worst thing that can happen in one kind of way? I mean, I know it's so easy for me to be sitting here and saying that because of everything I've been through. But as someone that is sitting here and having jobs that I love, that I know that a lot of people would want to have, just what I said before, what's the worst thing that can happen? If you fail, you can do something else, but then you'll always know that you tried.
Love it. Is there something I haven't asked you yet that you want to emphasize?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. I think you've really covered most of everything. I love my job. I love working in sports. I know that there are a lot of negative things that are said about working in sports or just the environment in say, but it's great. I think it's every day is different. You never know what's coming. You never know what's going to happen. And I think that is probably the best part of it. It's so much fun and you meet so many different people. You get to hear so many different stories. And that would be my advice to not just women wanting to work in sports, but everyone. Just be curious, be interested. You're always going to get better stuff if you really want to know it. And I think that's what's gotten me so far, that I actually ask a question and I want to know the answer. It's not because I have to be there asking that question. And I think that's why I've always been more going for the longer interviews for doing stuff like that than hunting for news, because this is what I feel safe in. And I think that's the most important thing while working as a journalist or in anything in life, actually.
Curious and caring.
Exactly.
There we go. Go full circle on that one.
Yeah.
I like to end with the networking question. Is there someone from your network that you think would be a good guest on this podcast?
Have you had PG Falström?
No.
No, I would definitely say him. He's he was my professor that we had studying in Växjö, and he works a lot with talents, like what's the best way for young players, and he's taught me a lot. He was the one that I was working with, was my mentor when I was doing my final paper there before graduating. Yeah, I've learned so much from him. He's great. And so I would say that I think he does a lot of work with Swedish hockey and everything. So I would say that he has a lot of interesting stuff to say.
Sounds interesting. Johanna, thank you so much for taking the time to be on Sports Management Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Sports Management Podcast. Please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought about this episode. If you want to get in contact with me, send an email to sportsmpodcast@gmail.com or hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram @sportmpodcast.